Bill Gates Part 2. Hope you see the previous part of the video. Let's get started. Climate change and energy. Gates considers climate change and global access to energy to be critical, interrelated issues. He has urged governments and the private sector to invest in research and development to make clean, reliable energy cheaper. Gates envisions that a breakthrough innovation in sustainable energy technology could drive down both greenhouse gas emissions and poverty, and bring economic benefits by stabilizing energy prices. In 2011, he said, "If you gave me the choice between picking the next 10 presidents or ensuring that energy is environmentally friendly and a quarter as costly, I'd pick the energy thing." In 2015, he wrote about the challenge of transitioning the world's energy system from one based primarily on fossil fuels to one based on sustainable energy sources. Global energy transitions have historically taken decades. He wrote, "I believe we can make this transition faster, both because the pace of innovation is accelerating, and because we have never had such an urgent reason to move from one source of energy to another." This rapid transition, according to Gates, would depend on increased government funding for basic research and financially risky private sector investment, to enable innovation in diverse areas such as nuclear energy, grid energy storage to facilitate greater use of solar and wind energy, and solar fuels. Gates spearheaded two initiatives that he announced at the 2015 United Nations Climate Change Conference in Paris. One was Mission Innovation, in which 20 national governments pledged to double their spending on research and development for carbon-free energy in over 5 years' time. Another initiative was Breakthrough Energy, a group of investors who agreed to fund high-risk startups in clean energy technologies. Gates, who had already invested $1 billion of his own money in innovative energy startups, committed a further $1 billion to Breakthrough Energy. In December 2020, he called for the U.S. federal government to create institutes for clean energy research, analogous to the National Institutes of Health. Gates has also urged rich nations to shift to 100% synthetic beef industries to reduce greenhouse gas emissions from food production. Gates has been criticized for holding a large stake in Signature Aviation, a company that services emissions-intensive private jets. In 2019, he began to divest from fossil fuels. He does not expect divestment itself to have much practical impact but says that if his efforts to provide alternatives were to fail, he would not want to personally benefit from an increase in fossil fuel stock prices. After publishing his book How to Avoid a Climate Disaster, parts of the climate activist community criticized Gates' approach as technological solutionism. In June 2021, Gates's company TerraPower and Warren Buffett's Pacify Corp announced the first sodium nuclear reactor in Wyoming. Wyoming Governor Mike Gordon hailed the project as a step toward carbon-negative nuclear power. Wyoming Senator John Barrasso also said that it could boost the state's once-active uranium mining industry. Political positions. Regulation of the software industry. See also, Bill Gates section Antitrust litigation, and United States v. Microsoft Corp. In 1998, Gates rejected the need for regulation of the software industry in testimony before the United States Senate. Donald Trump Facebook ban. On February 18, 2021, after Facebook and Twitter had banned Donald Trump from their platforms as a result of the 2020 United States presidential election which led to the 2021 storming of the United States Capitol, Gates said a permanent ban of Trump would be a shame and would amount to an extreme measure. He warned that such a move would cause polarization if users with different political views divide up among various social networks. "I don't think banning somebody who actually did get a fair number of votes in the presidential election, well less than a majority, but I don't think having him off forever would be that good." Patents for COVID-19 vaccines. In April 2021, during the COVID-19 pandemic, Gates was criticized for suggesting that pharmaceutical companies should hold on to patents for COVID-19 vaccines. The criticism came due to the possibility of this preventing poorer nations from obtaining adequate vaccines. Tara Van Ho of the University of Essex stated, "Gates speaks as if all the lives being lost in India are inevitable but eventually the West will help when in reality the US and UK are holding their feet on the neck of developing states by refusing to break protections. It's disgusting." Philanthropy. Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Gates studied the work of Andrew Carnegie and John D. Rockefeller, and donated some of his Microsoft stock in 1994 to create the William H. Gates Foundation. In 2000, Gates and his wife combined 3 family foundations, and Gates donated stock valued at $5 billion to create the charitable Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, which was identified by the Funds for NGOs company in 2013 as the world's wealthiest charitable foundation, with assets reportedly valued at more than $34.6 billion. The foundation allows benefactors to access information that shows how their money is being spent, unlike other major charitable organizations such as the Wellcome Trust. Gates, through his foundation, also donated $20 million to Carnegie Mellon University for a new building to be named Gates Center for Computer Science, which opened in 2009. Gates has credited the generosity and extensive philanthropy of David Rockefeller as a major influence. Gates and his father met with Rockefeller several times, and their charity work is partly modeled on the Rockefeller family's philanthropic focus, whereby they are interested in tackling the global problems that are ignored by governments and other organizations. As of 2007, Bill and Melinda Gates were the second most generous philanthropists in America, having given over $28 billion to charity. The couple plan to eventually donate 95% of their wealth to charity. The foundation is organized into 5 program areas: Global Development Division, Global Health Division, United States Division, and Global Policy and Advocacy Division. Among others, it supports a wide range of public health projects, granting aid to fight transmissible diseases such as AIDS, tuberculosis, and malaria, as well as widespread vaccine programs to eradicate polio. It grants funds to learning institutes and libraries and supports scholarships at universities. The foundation established water, sanitation, and hygiene program to provide sustainable sanitation services in poor countries. Its agriculture division supports the International Rice Research Institute in developing golden rice, a genetically modified rice variant used to combat vitamin A deficiency. The goal of the foundation is to provide 120 million women and girls, in the poorest countries, with high-quality contraceptive information and services, with the longer-term goal of universal access to voluntary family planning. In 2007, the Los Angeles Times criticized the foundation for investing its assets in companies that have been accused of worsening poverty, pollution, and pharmaceutical firms that do not sell to developing countries. Although the foundation announced a review of its investments to assess social responsibility, it was subsequently cancelled and upheld its policy of investing for maximum return, while using voting rights to influence company practices. Gates delivered his thoughts in a fireside chat moderated by journalist and news anchor Shireen Ban virtually at the Singapore FinTech Festival on December 8, 2020, on the topic, Building Infrastructure for Resilience: What the COVID-19 Response Can Teach Us About How to Scale Financial Inclusion. Governments are there to think ahead to bad things that might happen. In the case of the COVID-19 pandemic, not enough was done. We can't forget that another pandemic will come and we'll need to invest in being ready in that, while not forgetting that we were not prepared and we're going to have to invest, just like having a fire department, some money in an intelligent way and actually simulate what might happen and make sure that we're ready for it. Gates favors the normalization of COVID-19 masks. In a November 2020 interview, he said, "What are these, like, nudists? I mean, you know, we ask you to wear pants, and no American says, or very few Americans say, that's like some terrible thing. Personal donations." Melinda Gates suggested that people should emulate the philanthropic efforts of the Salwen family, who sold their home and gave away half of its value, as detailed in their book, The Power of Half. Gates and his wife invited Joan Salwen to Seattle to speak about what the family had done, and on December 9, 2010, Bill and Melinda Gates and investor Warren Buffett each signed a commitment they called the Giving Pledge, which is a commitment by all three to donate at least half of their wealth, over the course of time, to charity. Gates has also provided personal donations to educational institutions. In 1999, Gates donated $20 million to the Massachusetts Institute of Technology for the construction of a computer laboratory named the William H. Gates Building, that was designed by architect Frank Gehry. While Microsoft had previously given financial support to the institution, this was the first personal donation received from Gates. The Maxwell Dworkin Laboratory of the Harvard John A. Paulson School of Engineering and Applied Sciences is named after the mothers of both Gates and Microsoft President Stephen A. Ballmer, both of whom were students. Ballmer was a member of the school's graduating class of 1977, while Gates left his studies for Microsoft and donated funds for the laboratory's construction. Gates also donated $6 million to the construction of the Gates Computer Science Building, completed in January 1996, on the campus of Stanford University. The building contains the Computer Science Department and the Computer Systems Laboratory, CSL, of Stanford's Engineering Department. Since 2005, Gates and his foundation have taken an interest in solving global sanitation problems. For example, they announced the Reinvent the Toilet Challenge, which has received considerable media interest. To raise awareness for the topic of sanitation and possible solutions, Gates drank water that was produced from human feces. In 2014, it was produced from a sewage sludge treatment process called the Omni processor. In early 2015, he also appeared with Jimmy Fallon on The Tonight Show and challenged him to see if he could taste the difference between this reclaimed water or bottled water. In November 2017, Gates said he would give $50 million to the Dementia Discovery Fund, a venture capital fund that seeks treatment for Alzheimer's disease. He also pledged an additional $50 million to startup ventures working in Alzheimer's research. Bill and Melinda Gates have said that they intend to leave their 3 children $10 million each as their inheritance. With only $30 million kept in the family, they are expected to give away about 99.96% of their wealth. On August 25, 2018, Gates distributed $600,000 through his foundation via UNICEF, which is helping flood-affected victims in Kerala, India. Charity sports events. On April 29, 2017, Gates partnered with Swiss tennis legend Roger Federer is playing in the Match for Africa 4, a non-competitive tennis match at a sold-out Key Arena in Seattle. The event was in support of the Roger Federer Foundation's charity efforts in Africa. Federer and Gates played against John Isner, the top-ranked American player for much of this decade, and Mike McCready, the lead guitarist for Pearl Jam. The pair won the match 6-4. Overall, they raised $2 million for children in Africa. The following year, Gates and Federer returned to play in the Match for Africa 5 on March 5, 2018, at San Jose's SAP Center. Their opponents were Jack Sock, one of the top American players and a Grand Slam winner in doubles, and Savannah Guthrie, a co-anchor for NBC's Today Show. Gates and Federer recorded their second match victory together by a score of 6-3, and the event raised over $2.5 million. Works. 1. The Road Ahead, written with Microsoft executive Nathan Myhrvold and journalist Peter Rinierson, was published in November 1995. It summarized the implications of the personal computing revolution and described a future profoundly changed by the arrival of a global information superhighway. 2. Business at the Speed of Thought was published in 1999, and discusses how business and technology are integrated, and shows how digital infrastructures and information networks can help to get an edge on the competition. 3. How to Avoid a Climate Disaster, February 2021, presents what Gates learned in over a decade of studying climate change and investing in innovations to address climate problems. Personal life. Gates married Melinda French on the Hawaiian island of Lanai on January 1, 1994. They met in 1987 after Melinda began working at Microsoft. At the time of their marriage, Gates was given permission by Melinda to spend limited time with his ex-girlfriend, businesswoman Ann Winblad. Bill and Melinda have 3 children, Jennifer, Rory, and Phoebe. The family's residence is an earth-sheltered mansion on the side of a hill overlooking Lake Washington in Medina, Washington. In 2009, property taxes on the mansion were reported to be $1.063 million United States dollars, on a total assessed value of $147.5 million United States dollars. The 66,000 square foot, 6,100 square meters, estate has a 60-foot, 18 meters, swimming pool with an underwater music system, as well as a 2,500 square foot, 230 square meters, gym and a 1,000 square foot, 93 square meters, dining room. On May 3, 2021, Bill and Melinda Gates announced that they had decided to divorce following 27 years of marriage, and 34 years as a couple. The couple said they will keep working together on charitable efforts. The Wall Street Journal reported that Melinda had been meeting with divorce attorneys since 2019, citing interviews that suggested Bill's ties with convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein was at least one of her concerns. A New York Times article also reported several cases of misconduct at Microsoft and at the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, where Bill Gates pursued women who worked for him and had an affair with an employee at Microsoft in 2000. 6 current and former employees of Microsoft reported that Gates created at times an uncomfortable workplace environment for women. The same article reports that Bill Gates's relationship with Epstein started in 2011, just a few years after his conviction, and continued for some years, including a visit to his house with Melinda in the fall of 2013, despite her declared discomfort with the situation. In an interview with Rolling Stone, Gates stated in regard to his faith, "The moral systems of religion, I think, are super important. We've raised our kids in a religious way. They've gone to the Catholic church that Melinda goes to and I participate in. I've been very lucky, and therefore I owe it to try and reduce the inequity in the world. And that's kind of a religious belief. I mean, it's at least a moral belief." In the same 2014 interview, Gates also said, "I agree with people like Richard Dawkins that mankind felt the need for creation myths. Before we really began to understand the disease and the weather and things like that, we sought false explanations for them. Now science has filled in some of the realm, not all, that religion used to fill. But the mystery and the beauty of the world are overwhelmingly amazing, and there's no scientific explanation of how it came about. To say that it was generated by random numbers, that does seem, sort of an uncharitable view. I think it makes sense to believe in God. But exactly what decision in your life you make differently because of it, I don't know." Gates purchased the Codex Leicester, a collection of scientific writings by Leonardo da Vinci, for $30.8 million at an auction in 1994. In 1998, Gates reportedly paid $30 million for the original 1885 maritime painting Lost on the Grand Banks, at the time a record price for an American painting. Gates is an avid reader, and the ceiling of his large home library is engraved with a quotation from The Great Gatsby. He also enjoys playing bridge, tennis, and golf. Gates's days are planned for him on a minute-by-minute basis, similar to the U.S. president's schedule. Despite his wealth and extensive business travel, Gates flew coach, economy class, in commercial aircraft until 1997, when he bought a private jet. Wealth tallies. In 1999, his wealth briefly surpassed $101 billion. Since 2000, the nominal value of his Microsoft holdings has declined due to a fall in Microsoft's stock price after the dot-com bubble burst and the multi-billion-dollar donations he has made to his charitable foundations. In May 2006, Gates remarked that he wished that he were not the richest man in the world because he disliked the attention it brought. In March 2010, Gates was the second wealthiest person after Carlos Slim, but regained the top position in 2013, according to the Bloomberg Billionaires list. Slim retook the position again in June 2014, but then lost the top position back to Gates. Between 2009 and 2014, his wealth doubled from $40 billion to more than $82 billion. In October 2017, Gates was surpassed by Amazon founder Jeff Bezos as the richest person in the world. On November 15, 2019, he once again became the richest person in the world after a 48% increase in Microsoft shares, surpassing Bezos. Gates told the BBC, "I've paid more tax than any individual ever, and gladly so. I've paid over $6 billion in taxes." He is a proponent of higher taxes, particularly for the rich. Gates has held the top spot on the list of the world's billionaires for 18 out of the past 23 years. Gates has several investments outside Microsoft, which in 2006 paid him a salary of $616,667 and a $350,000 bonus totaling $966,667. In 1989, he founded Corbus, a digital imaging company. In 2004, he became a director of Berkshire Hathaway, the investment company headed by longtime friend Warren Buffett. In 1987, Gates was listed as a billionaire in Forbes magazine's 400 Richest People in America issue, worth $1.25 billion at the time, and was the world's youngest self-made billionaire. Since 1987, Gates has been included in the Forbes The World's Billionaires list and was the wealthiest person from 1995 to 1996, 1998 to 2007, 2009, and held the spot until 2018 before being overtaken by Jeff Bezos. Gates was number 1 on the Forbes 400 list from 1993 through 2007, 2009, and 2014 through 2017. Hope you like this video. Please like and share this video and subscribe our channel for more informative videos. Thanks for watching.